All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something that is incredibly common, completely reversible, and yet nobody really talks about it until it's way too late. We're looking at the silent epidemic of fatty liver disease. Look, if you care at all about your long-term health, your daily energy, or how your metabolism is firing, this is one explainer you absolutely do not want to miss.
So think about this for a second. What condition hides in roughly 1 in 3 adults without a single symptom? Think about the people you walk past today, your coworkers, your friends, maybe even your family members. A massive chunk of the population is walking around right now with a fundamentally altered internal organ, and they are completely in the dark about it.
The answer is 33%. Yeah, that is a staggering number. About 1 in 3 Australian adults, and honestly, a rapidly growing number of people globally, especially across Western and Middle Eastern nations, are walking around with fatty liver disease right this second. And you know what the wildest part of that statistic is? Most of them have absolutely no idea, simply because their body isn't sounding any alarm bells.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the silent epidemic. Then, what causes fatty liver and the risks of ignoring it. After that, we're diving into the really good stuff, actionable solutions with dietary tips for health, and finally, movement and lifestyle changes.
Okay, Part 1, the silent epidemic, understanding exactly what MASLD is.
Let's get our definition straight right off the bat. We are talking about MASLD. That stands for Metabolic Dysfunction Associated Steatotic Liver Disease. Now, you might have heard it called NAFLD in the past, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Basically, a perfectly healthy liver is your body's main chemical processing plant, and it naturally contains almost zero fat. But you cross that clinical line into fatty liver disease when excess fat makes up more than 5% of the liver's total weight.
Picture the dramatic physical transformation happening right inside the body. A healthy liver is normal in size, it's got this deep, rich, reddish-brown color, and it has practically no fat. But a fatty liver, it literally swells up. It gets physically enlarged, a condition doctors call hepatomegaly, and it completely changes color. Why does that happen? Well, when you take in more energy than your body actually needs, it takes those extra calories and literally packs them away as fat deposits straight inside your liver cells.
But here is the absolute most crucial point. It is a silent disease. You could have this enlarged, fat-filled liver and experience literally zero symptoms. None. You won't feel it on a Tuesday afternoon. Usually, it's only when the condition gets pretty advanced that people start feeling the effects. Things like a really deep, unexplainable fatigue, just a general sense of feeling unwell, or maybe a dull, nagging pain right under the ribs on the upper right side of your belly. And by the time you actually feel it, the disease has been quietly doing its thing for years.
Which brings us to Part 2. What causes fatty liver? Let's look at the metabolic triggers.
We've got to bust a massive myth right now. So many people think liver disease is only something that happens from heavy alcohol abuse. That is 100% false. Let's break down the real metabolic triggers that build up over time. First up is weight, specifically obesity, and even more specifically, carrying excess weight right around your waistline. Next is blood sugar. We're talking about conditions like type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. See, when your cells stop responding to insulin the way they should, your liver gets totally overwhelmed and starts turning that excess blood sugar directly into fat. And finally, blood fats, so having high cholesterol or high triglycerides. If you've got a mix of these metabolic factors going on, your liver basically becomes a giant magnet for fat storage.
Part 3. The risks of ignoring it. Let's talk about the path of inaction.
This right here is exactly why we cannot ignore a silent condition. Left unchecked, this disease follows a pretty grim domino effect. Step 1 is MASLD, which is just that simple fat buildup we just talked about. But in some folks, that fat triggers an aggressive immune response, pushing them to Step 2, MASH. That stands for Metabolic Dysfunction Associated Steatohepatitis. In plain English, severe inflammation and liver cell damage. As your liver frantically tries to heal that constant inflammation, it builds up scar tissue. That leads to Step 3, cirrhosis. That's severe, permanent scarring, where the liver tissue basically just gives up and stops working. And finally, Step 4, end-stage liver failure, or even liver cancer. That's the dark path if we do nothing.
So, let's pivot to the solutions in Part 4, Dietary Tips for Health, Treating Food as Medicine.
Get this, there are no clinically approved medicines for fatty liver disease. Zero. Now, I know that might sound a little scary at first, but honestly, It's incredibly empowering. It means you don't have to sit around waiting for a pharmaceutical company to invent a magic pill. Your daily lifestyle and your diet literally become your medicine. You are completely in the driver's seat here.
So let's build a liver-healing diet. The medical research points overwhelmingly to adopting a Mediterranean-style way of eating. This means you're focusing heavily on whole grains rather than those refined white flours. You're loading up your plate with fresh fruits and vegetables, and you're making sure to include healthy fats, think olive oil, instead of saturated fats. And crucially, it's about reining in overall portion sizes. When you lighten that daily calorie burden, your liver can finally stop panic storing fat and actually start unpacking it.
But look, just as important as the good stuff you put in is the stuff you rigorously cut out. You've got to ditch the sugary drinks entirely. I'm talking sodas, sports drinks, sweet teas, and yes, even fruit juices. Liquid simple sugars hit your system fast, and the liver turns them straight into fat deposits. And of course, alcohol. Even if your fatty liver is primarily metabolic and has nothing to do with drinking, alcohol is basically pouring gasoline on the fire. It drives up fat storage and creates massive, dangerous inflammation.
Finally, Part 5, Movement and Lifestyle Changes. Healing through action.
This is without a doubt one of the coolest and most encouraging medical facts you're going to hear today. Exercise reduces liver fat even if you don't lose a single pound on the scale. Seriously, a lot of people get super frustrated if their body weight doesn't magically drop the second they start hitting the gym. But the science shows that just the act of engaging in physical activity forces your body to pull energy right out of the fat stores in your liver. You are quite literally clearing the fat out of your liver cells with every single workout, regardless of what that scale says in the bathroom.
So let's wrap this into a concrete daily action plan. First, try to exercise most days of the week. Definitely get the green light from your doctor first if you haven't been active in a while, but you gotta get moving. Work on gradually losing excess weight. Even dropping just a small percentage of your total body weight takes a massive load off your liver. Be proactive about managing your blood sugar levels. Treat high cholesterol if you've got it, and for sure, quit smoking or vaping. These daily habits are what create the internal environment your liver desperately needs to catch a break and actually repair itself.
I want to end the core part of our explainer with this direct quote from our medical sources because I think it's just so empowering. Making changes to your lifestyle can improve fatty liver and even reverse it. Your liver is this absolutely incredible, wildly resilient organ, and it has a unique capacity to regenerate itself. You are not permanently stuck with this diagnosis. By shifting those daily habits, leaning into a liver-healing diet, and just moving your body, you can physically reverse the damage. You can reclaim your metabolic health.
So I'm throwing the question over to you. What small change are you going to make for your liver today? Are you going to finally swap out that afternoon sugary soda for a cold glass of water? Are you going to commit to a brisk 20-minute walk after dinner tonight? Remember, your liver is silently, tirelessly working for you every single second of every single day. Maybe it's time we return the favor. Make that one small change today. Your future self is absolutely going to thank you for it.